You wake up to a blaring alarm. You rush out the door, merge into traffic, and head to a place you have to be at a specific time because someone else requires it. This chart breaks down a typical modern human lifespan. See this massive section taking up roughly 1/3 of your entire waking existence? That is the 90,000 hours you will spend at a job. But for the overwhelming majority of human history, that massive block didn't exist. For roughly 300,000 years, there were no wages, no employment, and no career ladders to climb. Now, you might assume that without a structured economy, our ancestors spent every waking second locked in a desperate, exhausting struggle just to avoid starvation. The truth is completely backward. Ancient humans enjoyed significantly more free time than we do today. To see how they managed this, we are going to reconstruct their typical 24-hour day. As we follow this journey, the evidence will suggest that we've been looking at our history through a distorted lens, one that mistakes a modern obsession with productivity for the natural human state. Your day starts around dawn. You wake up when your body is naturally ready. There is no schedule. You stir the smoldering fire from last night and grab some leftover meat or a handful of nuts gathered the day before. Getting that food didn't require a 40-hour workweek. When anthropologists tracked groups still living in pre-agricultural ways, like the Ju-Hawanzi people in Botswana, they found that acquiring food only took about 15 to 20 hours per week. That is roughly 2.5 days of labor. Even when a small group leaves camp to hunt, it isn't the frantic, dangerous sprint you see in movies. Humans use a technique called persistence hunting. We track animals at a steady, calculated jog for 3 to 6 hours. We can do this because we are the only species capable of sweating to regulate our body temperature while running. Most animals cannot. We simply maintain a moderate pace until our prey overheats and collapses. Once the animal is carried back and shared, the required tasks are finished. By early afternoon, the productive part of an ancient human's day is completely over, leaving them with total freedom. So what do you do with all those remaining hours? You do what modern workers find incredibly difficult to justify. You do absolutely nothing. You sit in the shade, watch the clouds, and exist. We know they had this immense surplus of free time because of the physical evidence they left behind. These 30,000-year-old paintings from Chauvet Cave feature perspective and shading on lions that required intense focus and hours of careful work by firelight deep underground. The desire to create goes back even further. Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip to collect these 100,000-year-old seashells found in South Africa, spending hours carefully drilling tiny holes with stone tools just to string them together as jewelry. They also dedicated time to sound. This is a 40,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone. The finger holes are perfectly spaced. Whoever crafted this understood pitch and spent significant effort making a tool entirely for music. When not crafting, they were socializing. Anthropologists note modern hunter-gatherer adults spend roughly 6 hours a day talking, laughing, and picking through each other's hair. These hours spent building social bonds served as a vital form of insurance. In a world without money or police, survival depended entirely on your relationships. If people didn't like you, they didn't have to share food when you were hungry. So investing in these bonds was the only way to guarantee your future safety. Time spent on art, music, and relationships wasn't wasted. It was the essential cultivation of human culture, a life made possible entirely by a lack of constant labor. A moment of wonder. As the sun sets, the group naturally gathers around the campfire, and the atmosphere shifts. Researchers analyzing nighttime conversations found that 81% of the talking moved away from the practical planning of the day. Instead, the dark brought out stories, myths about ancestors, and jokes that made everyone laugh. And when it was time to rest, they didn't sleep in one solid 8-hour block. Before artificial light, humans practiced 2-phase sleep. You slept for about 4 hours, woke up for an hour or 2 of quiet reflection in complete darkness, and then went back to sleep for another 4 hours. Without the glare of screens or the threat of a morning alarm, even human biology was structured for unhurried rest. Their 24-hour cycle was rooted in peace, not productivity. So, if living this way was so relaxed, why did we abandon it? The answer starts about 10,000 years ago, when humans began planting seeds. This chart outlines the agricultural trap. Farming produces a food surplus, allowing you to feed more people. But a booming population means too many mouths to return to hunting and gathering. You are locked into farming, requiring constant, grueling labor. We can see the physical toll of this trap right here in the skeletal record. When archaeologists examine the bones of early farmers, they find shorter statures, signs of malnutrition, teeth rotting from grain-heavy diets, and spines damaged by repetitive stress. From there, the dominoes fell quickly. Exploding populations required specialists, administrators, and massive cities, eventually leading to the invention of modern employment, the idea that your time belongs to someone else. We traded the freedom and leisure of our hunter-gatherer ancestors for immense population growth, a measure of food security and relentless productivity. Today, you spend 90,000 hours of your life working. We exhaust ourselves chasing wealth, status, and the eventual dream of retirement, exhausting ourselves just to buy back the exact same peaceful, schedule-free life our ancestors woke up to every single morning for free.